real basics here. So you're in intermediate accounting. What is accounting? Okay. Well, we know we have to always account for transactions. When you're in a business, things happen, right? You make sales. You own a store. Someone comes in. They buy something from you. You made a sale. Okay? You have to account for that sale as revenue. You have to account for that cash received, right? You're going to be putting that into your bank. Accounting tells us how we are supposed to account for those transactions. Okay? Many of you will choose to become auditors when you finish your accounting education. So if you become an auditor, you're going to be reviewing the books and records of companies. So if I said someone owns a store, someone comes in, you make a sale, they give you cash, you have to learn how to record that as a person who works for that company. An auditor would come into that store and review your books and records and say, well, have you accounted for all of that stuff correctly? Okay, they come in, they review your transactions, they review your controls, okay, and they eventually assess an opinion. Okay, they issue an opinion on whether or not your financial states are free from material error. Okay, so when you hear about auditors and what they do, a lot of you probably go, well, I'm probably going to be an auditor someday, and then you go, I really don't know what that is. Okay, that's what you do. You go into different companies and you look at their books and records and you determine whether or not they are complying with GAAP and whether or not they have misstatements in their financial statements. Like a misstatement would be if you found out that if someone came into that person's store, they made a sale and for $100, and you find out through looking at their books and records that either the sale was improperly recorded, or they had, maybe that person came in to settle a bill for $100, right? There was a receivable out there for $100. Maybe they didn't properly remove the receivable. These are the kinds of things that you look at. So maybe cash is not correct. So as an auditor, you look at these kinds of, you look at the books and records of a company and you determine whether or not they are misstated, materially misstated. Okay? So separately from that, as I said, if you're the person who works in the store, you're actually going to be entering that information into an accounting system. So these are different job, career paths that you can take as an accountant, as you pursue and finish up your degree, right? You can work for a company, you can work as an auditor, you can work as an auditor and then eventually work for a company, or vice versa. So I say here, it's very important that we understand how to properly account for transactions, whether we work as an external auditor or internal to a company, right? Because if we're internal to a company, we have to know how do we do it correctly so the auditor doesn't find errors, right? And if you're an auditor, you have to be able to go into a company and say, I know that that's right or I know that that's wrong. So you have to understand how to properly account for things. So why is this